You have stocked up on food. You have filled the shelves, right? But what if I told you that your pantry could still let you down in a big way during a crisis? Hello, everybody, and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. It is the best insurance that money can buy. It is not enough just to stock up on food, okay? There needs to be some forethought. There needs to be some planning implemented in it. And over the years, I have seen a ton of really amazing mistakes, and I've even made a few of them when it comes to stocking your pantry. So today we're going to talk about my top 10 mistakes that people make when they are building a pantry. And I hope that this helps you as you're moving forward in your pantry journey. Number one is not implementing a first in, first out system. First in, first out is just exactly what it sounds like. If I bought this 3 weeks ago, then the stuff behind it I bought 2 weeks ago, and the stuff behind that I bought a week ago. And the stuff that I buy tomorrow will go behind that, because you want to be using the oldest product regardless of where it is. You want to be using that first instead of the stuff that you just bought this week. Rotating your food is a big, big part of having a pantry. Having it just sit there and stare at you doesn't really help anybody at all. It doesn't help your pocketbook. It doesn't help your pantry preparedness. It doesn't help your preparedness, because after a while, it just won't be good anymore, or won't be as good anymore if you wait too long. You want to definitely work on a first in, first out system, no matter how you do your pantry. Whether you store it on shelves in a room, whether you put it in crates under the bed, or whether you put it in a closet on shelves. You know, something you want to figure out a first in, first out system that works for you and that you can maintain, because it is a constant maintenance. It never goes away. It's a lifestyle. Yes, it is. By not using that first in, first out method, that leads to expired, wasted goods when you need them the most. Because if a crisis happens, whether that is weather-related, health-related, financially related, or the world at large, okay, we need to be able to handle those crises. And if you can't move your stuff, if you leave it there, sitting there too long, then it serves you no purpose during that crisis. So first in, first out. Okay, number two, we're going to talk about a lack of nutritional balance. That is making sure that you're stocking all of the stuff, okay? So if you stock all of carbs, you've got the pasta, you've got the rice, you've got the sugar, you know, that kind of thing, but you don't stock any protein or any vegetables, that's not going to work. Your body will revolt on you. Absolutely. It may get you through a couple of days, but after a while, your body is not going to be happy, and it's going to let you know. And with the additional stress due to whatever the situation is, medical, financial, weather, the world at large, whatever it is, that will start seriously taking its toll on your body. So you want to make sure that you are stocking your pantry in a balanced nutritional way. You want to get the protein, you want to get the vegetables, you want to get the fruit, you want to get the carbs. You want to make sure that you are covering all of the bases there for that game, because that's when you're really going to need them. If you have a day where you just feel like eating noodles, you know, then that's great. But if you do it for 2 days, you're going to start feeling really bad. And if you do it for 3 days, you're going to feel even worse. And you're really not going to want to intake it anymore, you know? Having that variety and that balance is what will see you through major crises. The third biggest mistake that I see people do is not storing what they eat. So if you don't eat tuna fish, do not buy 100 cans of tuna. It doesn't make sense. It is not financially responsible. It takes up space where you could store more of what you actually do eat, and it's just unnecessary. It's wasteful in literally every aspect of the word. So stock what you eat what you stock. That comes in with the rotation part. As you're rotating through it, you'll know how much of it you actually eat. And that will change. Trust me, that will change as time goes on. So don't stock what you don't eat. If you don't eat tuna, don't buy tuna. If you don't eat peanut butter, don't buy peanut butter. When you buy stuff that you don't eat, without testing it, okay? So if you're just getting into something and you say, "Ooh, Lisa said that this was really good, so I'm going to buy it." And then you just set it on the shelf and stare at it, okay? Then you don't know if you like it. You don't know if your family likes it. And if you don't test out these different foods with the people that you'll be trying to feed it to, it could lead to wasted money and unopened cans, which serves nobody at all, especially during a crisis. The last thing you need during a stressful situation is to stack on top more stress because nobody in the house will eat whatever that is, and that's all you got. The fourth mistake I see is ignoring your water needs. And I don't think people truly understand exactly how much water they need. The standard quote has always been a gallon per person per day, and I know about the animals, okay? But I would hazard a guess saying 2 gallons per person per day. That's what I figure. And that includes not only potable water, okay? That includes water for hygiene. That includes water for cooking. That includes water for cleaning, because you're going to have to clean up something at some point. So you want to make sure that you're stocking enough water. Can you stock enough water for 3 months in your house? Probably not. But you can stock at least for a month and have a backup system for filtering water or purifying water, so that if an emergency happens and you cannot leave to replenish your water supply, something happens to your water that comes through your tap so that you are not supposed to use it, that you have the backup water, but also the ability to purify and filter the water. That's a system that you have to build on. That's a system that you have to learn about. Ignoring it doesn't make it less necessary. It's super important. 3 days. We can only last 3 days without water. And if you've ever been dehydrated, I've been dehydrated. Your mind goes quick. So trust me, water. Water is very important. Number 5 is poor storage conditions. There's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of wishful thinking. There's a lot of, I'm going to do it, and so I'm going to find a way to validate it as far as food storage goes. The standard rule is cool, dark, and dry. Cool, dark, and dry, okay? Moisture and pests and heat can impact your storage faster than you can even believe. It's amazing how quickly it can impact it. So, especially with the pests. And once you get the pests in there, it's really hard to get them back out again. Once they know there's a food source, they're going to do everything in their power to hang out. So you want to make sure that you're storing things properly, because without it, you're wasting money. If you buy a whole bunch of stuff and put it in buckets and put it in a shed out in your 105-degree yard, where it's actually like 150 in the shed, you are so significantly shortening the life of that food. But I don't have any place else to put it. You've got some place, you just prefer to put it in the shed. So there is always a workaround. There's always a workaround, okay? You can find ways to do it. Are you all going to have the optimum temperatures of cool, dark, and dry? And what is the definition of cool, dark, and dry? You don't want high moisture. You don't want excessive heat. You actually don't even want excessive cold, because that can impact the storage situation, whether it's cans, whether it's jars, whether it is bags or buckets or anything else. Extreme temperatures in either direction will impact your food storage, and the longevity of that food. So you want to be very careful about how you store your food. Just because it gets to be 100 at your house 3 months out of the year does not mean you cannot create a pantry in your house. What it means is that it may not last as long as, say, me, who, can keep it relatively around 75 all year long. It doesn't mean you don't have to store food or you can't store food. It just means it may not last 10 years like it would me. Something to take into consideration when you're stocking up. You absolutely want to use climate appropriate containers and pest deterrents. That's going to make all the difference in the world. Number 6 is forgetting about manual tools, because if there's an emergency and you don't have power, okay, and that could be related to weather, that could be related to finances, then how are you going to get into that can that doesn't have a pull top? How are you going to get into that bucket? How are you going to grind up that wheat? How are you going to make your coffee? Finding manual tools to do the everyday tasks that you rely on. Like for me, that's coffee. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So I know that when the power goes out, I can get my old percolating camp pot and I can make coffee over a fire or on my wood stove, and I'm good. I've got it. I've got coffee. I know that I can use a manual can opener. Well, actually, that's all I use anyway. But if you're used to an electric one, having a manual can opener will make a big difference if the power goes out. Like life or death kind of difference, What are you going to do? Take an axe to it? No. You have to have those manual tools to make sure that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish when it comes to feeding yourself and your household. And it takes a little bit of time to kind of look around and say, okay, what do I need? A fondue pot so that I can heat some water, so that I can make some tea. An old percolator camping coffee pot, so that I can make coffee on the barbecue. A manual can opener so I can open that can of tuna and put it in my face, Look around. How many things can you do and can you convert to off-grid? I'm not saying you have to use it every day, but you should know how to use it, and it's a really good thing to have in your pantry. No meal planning. I know, everybody. There are so many people that hate meal planning. I hear about it every time I mention it, but random ingredients, okay, equals stress during a crisis. Fact. And the last thing that you need during a crisis is to not have an idea of things that you can throw together to consume for you and your household. This just takes one more worry off of your plate, okay? So pre-planning a few meals using what you keep in your pantry, it avoids confusion and it avoids waste. And it works really well hand in hand with the first in, first out system. Being able to know what you've got, okay, and how to use it for different things, and planning that out so that everyone knows just in case something happens, super simple. You can do it, your 7-year-old can do it, and grandpa can do it too. Number 8 is overstocking the wrong foods, and I'm going to completely liken this to baking bread, okay? If you go out and buy 50 pounds of flour, yay, you've got 50 pounds of flour. That's fantastic if you're going to use it within the next couple of years, okay? Because you want to rotate that through. But if you don't have the accessories to go with it, like salt and sugar and oil, then you're not going to make bread. You're not going to make much of anything except paste, So you want to make sure that you're not overbuying in one area and completely neglecting another, because that will have you with a bunch of wasted food that you can't actually use, and that doesn't help anybody during a crisis situation. It leaves you with raw ingredients and nothing to make. Number 9 is another thing I see a lot of. It's not accounting for special dietary needs. And whether it's the kids or the young adults or the senior citizens or you, okay, to some extent, a lot of us have special diets that we can't eat certain things. For me, I can't do pasta the way that I used to. It really upsets my stomach. So to stock up on a bunch of pasta, and then when it comes time, I have nothing to eat, that doesn't serve the household, right? If you have somebody that's gluten intolerant, or if you have somebody that's allergic to peanuts, peanut butter is not going to be your friend. If you have somebody that's diabetic, then all the sweets aren't really going to help them survive and live and thrive through a crisis, right? So you want to make sure that you're taking into consideration all of those special dietary needs. And to me, that also includes the sensitivities, like to texture, that is becoming kind of prominent anymore. Some people just won't eat some things, period. Doesn't matter. Can't make them do it. You're going to have to duct tape them to a chair, and they're just going to send it back at you, So you need to make sure that you're factoring in everybody that you could possibly be taking care of during that emergency situation. Does that mean that if one person is gluten intolerant, you shouldn't stock up on anything that has gluten? No. It just means that you should stock up on a few things that they can handle while the rest of the household goes on about its business. You want to make sure that you're covering all bases, because to have one person suffer needlessly is like having everyone suffer needlessly. And if you've ever been around anybody in a bad mood, you know what that feels like. Number 10, and last but definitely not least, is no alternative cooking method. Yes. If you have electric everything, then yeah, with no power, you're not going to cook anything, okay? Oh, I've got a gas thing, but it has an electric start, so I know that I can just use a match. Okay, great. So what happens if there's something where you can't use the natural gas that's coming into your house? Oh, okay, now you got to come up with another way. There are a multitude of ways to handle this depending on your situation and your location. So here, where I get all 4 seasons in force, I have multiple ways to be able to cook or heat up food for our household. I have my handy dandy fondue pot, which can definitely heat up something to eat. It can heat up some soup or a stew. It can make tea. You know, it can do all those little things. I have a camp stove that we can hook a propane container to, and I can actually fry up some eggs or do something like that. I have a barbecue grill that is propane. I can bake bread in that puppy if I need to. I can make cookies if I need to, okay? I also have a rocket stove that somebody made me. Great. It's another great way to heat up a larger quantity over an, open flame. There are multiple ways to make it happen, like my camp coffee percolator. When we lost power, I couldn't make coffee. I had to pull out my old percolator. I had to do my thing, put it on top of the wood stove to heat it up so that it percolated, so that Mama had her coffee, because otherwise everybody in the household suffers. So always look at different ways that you can have for heating up your food, cooking your food. Think off grid. When you take a look at things, it's not that you want to be off grid. It's just that you have ways like the off grid people do to handle certain situations, whether it be short term or long term. Any crisis will add more stress than anybody ever needs. So you don't need feeding you and yours to add to that stress. If any of these mistakes hit just a little bit too close to home, don't worry. Don't worry at all. You're not behind. This is the time to take action, okay? You're learning, you're building, and that's the important part, is that you're moving forward, because to stagnate in fear means that you're going to fail. Every step forward, every mistake you make means that you are moving forward and you are learning and building a skill, and you too can have a pantry that serves you during a crisis. Whether it is financial, medical, weather-related, location-related, natural disasters, or just the world at large. Because we want you to be safe and we want you to be healthy. If you want to check out different ways that you can stock your pantry, check out this playlist right here. Until next time, everybody, be safe. Stack it to the rafters, my friends.